This is what that 15-year-old said no to. Back in 1955, a 15-year-old girl in Montgomery, Alabama, refused to give up her seat on a segregated bus. Her name was Claudette Colvin, and it happened 9 months before Rosa Parks. Let me tell you the story. Claudette Colvin was on her way home from school, and she wasn't just any student. She was smart. She was curious. She asked questions about anything, everything. She was the type of kid who paid attention in class to what was being said in church, to what was being taught about Black history as a whole. She didn't just hear it, she believed it. So when that moment came on the bus, she wasn't reacting, she was standing on something. She was standing on the knowledge that she had obtained, the truth and the belief, still thinking about what it was that she had learned beforehand. The Black history, her rights, the Constitution. So when the bus driver told her that she had to move, she didn't just say no. She said it was within her constitutional right to stay seated. She had paid her fare, the bus was crowded, and by law, she shouldn't have had to move. So she didn't. They dragged her off that bus, handcuffed her, and arrested her, a 15-year-old. They charged her with violating segregation laws, disorderly conduct, and assaulting a police officer. A child was being criminalized for knowing her rights. To really understand this moment, we have to understand the system that she was living in the time frame. This wasn't just separate seating. This was Jim Crow. Now, let me show you a little bit about what that looked like. Black riders would have to pay at the front of the bus and then get off and then walk around to the back of the bus to re-enter, and then sometimes the driver would just pull off before they could even get back on, meaning you paid and then still got left. So seats in the front would sit empty while Black passengers stood packed in the back, even when there was room for them to sit down in the front. And if a white passenger got on and you were sitting down, you weren't just asked to move, you were expected to. No matter who you were, elderly, pregnant, child, it didn't matter. This wasn't inconvenience, it was control, designed. And this is what that 15-year-old said no to, a full system of laws, rules, and everyday practices that controlled where Black people could sit, where they could eat, where they could work, the jobs that they could do, how they existed and moved through public spaces. And buses were one of the most visible forms of that control, where Black riders literally paid at the front and still had to get off to re-enter through the back. That system is what Claudette Colvin said no to. Now, logically speaking, considering all of this, one would think that this would become the story, her story, that she would have become the face of the civil rights movement, but she wasn't. And here's why. The truth is, she was young, she was outspoken, she was dark skinned. And shortly after all of this happened, she became pregnant. So the leaders, respectability, politics, and all at the time, decided she wasn't the right image. She wasn't a good fit to represent the movement. They didn't say that she was wrong about anything that she had done or said. They said she wasn't usable. So instead, they waited. And then months later, they chose Rosa Parks. She was much older, more respectable, and easier for the public to stomach, more palatable. And let's be clear, even though Rosa Parks is who they chose, Claudette Colvin did it first. Here's what they couldn't erase. She didn't just protest, she helped the win. Claudette Colvin became one of the plaintiffs in Browder v. Gale. That case went all the way to the Supreme Court and ended bus segregation in Montgomery. So even though they didn't center her, she still changed the law. This is where we're going to tell the truth about it all, because this isn't just about history. It's about how these stories get chosen in the beginning, because it's not always who's first. It's about who fits the image, who's more palatable, who looks right, who sounds right, who makes people more comfortable. And if you don't have that fit, then you can be pushed aside, even if you were the one who started it. Claudette Colvin didn't lack courage. She lacked protection from the very people who should have protected her. She lacked a system that was willing to stand behind her fully. And that reality, it still exists today. So, three things that we should take from this: one, doing the right thing does not guarantee recognition. Two, being first does not guarantee that you will be remembered. And three, you can still be powerful even if your name isn't the one that they're highlighting. And that's BLEXCELLENCE. Standing in truth, even when the world decides that you're not the version that they want to show. Before Rosa Parks, there was Claudette Colvin. She still changed history whether or not they told her story. Move different, because the world doesn't always reward truth. That doesn't make it any less powerful.